46 Tower, man. Fuck Young Money.
What up, family? It's your boy SNTV, man, coming back at y'all with another Chiraq Street Legends. And this episode is going to be about none other than Gino, a.k.a. THF Trouble.
46 Tower, man. Check it out. Get your... drop. 46 Tower, man. Fuck niggas off 43rd, man. Fuck money, man. Fuck Young Money, K, fuck time out. Everybody, man. We 46 to the dirt. Oh, we die 5, yeah. We die 5 in this damn. Fuck you talking about. All you niggas, man. All you niggas, man. Crazy. Man, Young Money, man. Fuck niggas. That's why that nigga Zico dead.
Gino comes from that THF 46 set. They from out 46 in Woodlawn, located in the Kenwood area. They cool with THF 44, Welch World, 600, O Block, OBN, Front Street, Blackgate, NLMB, Murder Town, the Folly Boys, GGE, and Dameron. They beef with Touch Money, 757, STL, EBT, Taekwon World, Gyro City, Geo Drive, MOB, Princeton Mob, Met Boys, Chop Block, 800, and their main beef is with 051 Young Money. Gino was a nephew of Big Les, and he was cousins to Scrap, Ruger, FBG Duck, and FBG Brick. He was also the cousin of NLMB Cairo. Trouble, like most inner city youth, got involved in the streets at a very young age. And like his cousin Brick, he also started going to jail at a very young age. Gino eventually became one of the most feared members in THF because he was aligned with a group of guys within THF that specialized in robbing. He's been known to literally rob people for fun. At times, he even robbed guys that were clicked up with THF. According to Gino, he's robbed guys from OBN and 600. Gino definitely earned his nickname Trouble. It wasn't necessarily about him going out there robbing people. His name came up in a lot of murders as well. Take this with a grain of salt, but it was rumored that Gino was one of the ones that took the life of T Streets, who was a part of 051. This is nothing I heard from the streets. This was something that actually Gino claimed himself. Tariq Mahdi, also known as T Streets, was shot in the face inside a vehicle on November 10, 2011 and was pronounced dead at 12:28 a.m. After the death of T Streets, 051 adopted the nickname Streetsville to honor T Streets. As I said earlier, THF had a crew within their clique called a Takedown Crew that was robbing everything moving. And Bobo was one of the main faces of that clique. Bobo and Gino would always be seen together, and they were inseparable. They hit a lot of licks together. So when Bobo ended up being taken out by 051, it really did something to Gino, and he had to get revenge.
March 8th, 2017. Man who beat murder case killed minutes after leaving jail.
A man who beat his murder case when prosecutors failed to give him a speedy trial was killed minutes after leaving Cook County Jail on Monday night, according to authorities. Kamari Belmont, 23, was being held on murder and robbery charges after he allegedly shot a man during a robbery and robbed another man a few hours later in 2015. The man he shot died weeks later. Cook County prosecutors dropped the murder charges at the end of January after allowing too much time to elapse under the state's speedy trial statute, according to court records and Belmont's attorney. The robbery charges remained and Belmont was ordered held on a $100,000 bond. At 5:30 p.m. Monday, a friend of Belmont posted the required $10,000 on the bond and Belmont was released at 11:12 p.m., according to jail officials. Belmont was a few blocks from the jail when a white SUV pulled up to his car on California Avenue and someone inside started shooting, police said. Belmont was hit several times. The SUV ran a red light as it sped off and crashed into a car near Interstate 55, police said. Those inside ran away. Belmont collapsed in the street and died at the scene. "Oh my God, I can't believe it," said Belmont's attorney, Michael Johnson, who said he has known Belmont's family for more than 2 decades. He said he'd seen Belmont at the jail recently as the family put together the bail money. "I told him, once he gets out he's got to get out of the neighborhood," Johnson said. "Unfortunately, this isn't the first time I've seen this." But Johnson said he didn't believe Belmont's killing was street justice. "The armed robbery and murder weren't gang-related," Johnson said, and the shooting and robberies occurred on May 1, 2015. The person who was shot, Sorrell Marshall, 40, died 3 weeks later. Belmont and another man, Terrence Hogan, 23, were arrested the night of the shooting and initially charged with attempted murder and armed robbery. The charges were not upgraded to murder until nearly a year later, in April 2016, according to a timeline compiled by jail officials. It wasn't clear why prosecutors waited so long to file murder charges. However, Marshall's death was not immediately ruled a homicide by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, which initially marked the case as pending further investigation. But the clock under the speedy trial statute had started ticking with the attempted murder charges. The murder charges did not reset the clock because they were based on the same set of facts, according to a 3-page motion from attorneys for Hogan and Belmont. Prosecutors had no choice but to drop the charges, Belmont's attorney said. A representative from Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox's office did not respond to a request for comment. Marshall was shot after he dropped off his girlfriend near her apartment at 37th and Vincennes and parked when Belmont and Hogan tried to rob him, according to authorities. A struggle ensued, and Marshall was shot in the leg and the groin. Belmont was arrested in Canaryville that night after he and Hogan held up a man in the South Loop, authorities said. A woman with the victim fled and flagged down a police car that tracked the phone to Canaryville. Hogan was accidentally shot by police during the arrest, according to the police union at the time. He was arrested after he showed up at Mercy Hospital and Medical Center seeking treatment.
Now THF had lost a well-loved member, and Gino had lost his partner in crime. The hit on Bobo really pushed THF over the edge. Now it was time to show the world why their name was Trigger Happy Family.
Now, a hunt is underway for the gunman who killed 2 men and hurt 2 others in a gas station shooting this morning. It happened in Chicago's Washington Park neighborhood.
2 men were killed in that early morning shooting at a Washington Park gas station, and 2 men are recovering here at Stoger Hospital, including a gas station worker.
On March 10, 2017, THF slid looking for 051 members trying to get back for Bobo. 051 was known to hang out at the Golo gas station on 51st and Indiana, so to the Golo they went. When THF pulled up, they spotted some guys in the store and immediately sprung into action. At that specific time, there were 3 SKD members and an older guy that worked there posted in the store. Unfortunately for them, they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. THF would open the door and unload on everybody in sight, hitting all 4 people and killing 2. One of the guys was actually used as a shield by his 2 homies. Ironically, the door of the store was bulletproof, so if they would have held the door closed, they would have possibly lived. Gino was rumored to be one of the shooters on this hit. On January 3rd, 2019, Motor and Side from Gyro City were leaving that same Golo gas station on 51st and Indiana when they were ambushed. This was allegedly the second big hit that Gino was a part of, hence the name, Trouble 2 Times. Shortly before 1 p.m., someone fired multiple shots at a gray Dodge Avenger in the 5000 block of South Indiana, according to Chicago police. The driver was shot in the chest, while the front seat passenger was shot in the face. Marcus M. Clark and Wilbur Morris, both 25, were pronounced dead at the scene.
Somebody on 51st. They out here whacking niggas on 51st. That is crazy.
And then I saw you I'm like, Lord.
51st in Indiana. 51st in Indiana. I think it's 2 of their ass in there at least. They had to stretch out there, they put that motherfucker back up. Hell yeah, I'm gonna be safe, shit. I'm going back in my job, shit. Yeah, I think they is dead, shit. They put the stretcher back in. They had the stretcher out by the door. Like they was trying to take them out. Shit, they put that motherfucker back in the ambulance. Like it was over with. Shit, where them hoes at, motherfucker might have caught some headshots.
After Motor and Side was hit, a lot of the guys expressed their frustration. One being 051 Melly, who talked about how he told them not to mess around at that gas station. Also guys saying that there was no RIP until their killers were dead. Gino ended up going to jail like 3 months after that, when him and G-Baby went on a carjacking spree.
Police say that the men that you see here stole a car from a Northwest Side woman last night. The next day, officers were following that stolen car when the suspects drove onto Lakeshore Drive. They eventually crashed into 2 other cars, and then they were arrested.
2 men have been charged after police said they crashed a stolen car on the South Side Monday. Police said a 25-year-old woman in the 1500 block of West Augusta Boulevard was loading groceries into her car when police said someone entered the vehicle and drove off on Sunday. The next day, police observed the stolen vehicle in the 5500 block of South Princeton Avenue. Police attempted to pull the car over, and after a pursuit, the car crashed, and 2 men, 24-year-old Gino Dameron and 20-year-old Marlik Ousley, both of Calumet City, were taken into custody. Ousley was charged with aggravated fleeing police and aggravated possession of a stolen vehicle. The mayor has been charged with 2 counts of use of a weapon by a felon.
And on January 27th, 2021, THF Trouble ended up being taken out by one of his own. Allegedly, THF Dada was having a mental episode, and Gino went over to try to help him out in this situation. Dada ended up shooting him 5 times. Demetrius Johnson made headlines in 2011 when he was 16 years old. That's when prosecutors charged him as an adult with shooting a man to death in a parking lot near his home. A jury later acquitted him. As an adult, Johnson continued to rack up cases. He was convicted of illegal gun possession twice in 2015, and he just became the 5th person charged with killing or shooting someone in Chicago this year while on bail for a serious felony case. Johnson was on bail and was wearing an electric monitoring bracelet for pending armed habitual criminal and escape cases when he shot and killed Gino Dameron, age 26, last Wednesday in the 3500 block of South Cottage Grove, prosecutors said. Assistant State's Attorney James Murphy said Johnson's mother called police to their apartment in the complex because her 27-year-old son had a gun and was experiencing a mental episode around 3:45 p.m. January 27. Another caller reported hearing gunshots in the building, and security officers found Dameron, a friend of Johnson's, dead in the elevator with multiple gunshot wounds, Murphy said. According to Murphy, surveillance video shows Johnson with the gun in the building lobby before the shooting and carrying the gun in the stairwell after the shooting. Cameras also captured footage of Johnson running out the back of the building as a police arrived. While police were investigating the murder, they received a tip that the killer had boarded a southbound CTA bus on Cottage Grove and had just exited at 46th Street, according to a CPD report. Cops went there and started looking for the shooter, who was seen on video wearing a blue jacket and white pants with a blue stripe on the side. They located Johnson wearing identical clothing, police records say. A security guard from the apartment building allegedly identified Johnson as the man who fled from the murder scene with a handgun, like bulge under his clothes. Tests for gunpowder on Johnson's hands came back positive, Murphy said. His mother told police Johnson was hearing voices, but she has not been cooperating with the police investigation, according to Murphy. Police said Johnson was wearing a Cook County Sheriff's Office electronic monitoring ankle bracelet at the time of his arrest. According to prosecutors, Johnson was on electronic monitoring for a pending gun case, even though he escaped from electronic monitoring once before while on bail in the matter. Defense attorney David Gager said Johnson has been hospitalized for psychiatric care in the past and had a relapse before the murder. There is no indication that there was necessarily malice towards the victim, Judge Mary Marubio said after hearing the allegations. But she noted the randomness makes it incredibly difficult to fashion conditions to protect the public. She then ordered Johnson held without bail. His already pending felony charges stem from a traffic stop in the Washington Heights neighborhood on April 29, 2018. In that case, police said the car came to a stop and Johnson bolted from the passenger seat while holding his waistband. Cops chased him and walked him back to the car, where they allegedly found a loaded ammunition magazine lying next to the vehicle. Officers called the fire department truck to the scene so they can use a ladder to look on the roof of a building that Johnson ran next to. A fireman found a handgun on the roof, police said. The gun had one bullet in the chamber, but no magazine, according to a CPD report. The magazine found next to the car not only fit the rooftop gun, but its bullets were identical to the one found in the weapons chamber, according to police. Prosecutors charged Johnson with a Class X armed habitual criminal, unlawful use of a weapon by a felon with a previous gun conviction, and failure to register as a gun offender. He got out of jail on electronic monitoring, posting a $3,000 deposit bill. Prosecutors charged him with escape after he failed to show up in court in September 2019, and a judge ordered him held without bail. But another judge reduced bail in June 2020 and allowed Johnson to go home on electronic monitoring after his aunt posted a $20,000 bond, records show. Johnson failed to show up again on October 6. He was located and brought in front of Judge Joanne Brown. She released him on electronic monitoring again. According to a contemporaneous Chicago Tribune report in January 2011, prosecutors charged Johnson in adult court with killing 23-year-old Zontil Lemon on a parking lot in the 3500 block of South Lake Park. When police arrested him in that case, he was already in the county's juvenile detention facility on charges of aggravated battery to a school official at Dunbar High School, the Tribune reported in 2011. And I think that what we can learn from the story of THF Trouble is this. Eventually, everything that we do in the dark will come to the light, and karma will come back to pay us a visit. This story is kind of peculiar because Trouble was actually took out by one of his own guys, and then it wasn't necessarily a back door. It's like his guy had a mental episode. I could only imagine what was going through his head, or how he got so mentally screwed like that. But whatever the situation was, he wasn't in his right mind, and his homie ended up paying for it. Not to mention, the CPD is charging this guy with murder, knowing that he's not mentally capable of standing trial. Also, there's a lot of mentally unstable people walking this earth. In 2024, it is just not safe to trust people in no type of way. We try to help people as much as we could, but we must always stay on defense, because you never know when it's your time to go. This has been another episode of Chiraq Street Legends. It's your boy, SNTV. I'm out.